All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Show Choir Nation. I am your host, William. Alongside me is my co-host, Ethan. What a show choir weekend we just had. I don't really know how else to say it.
Yeah, I know, and I'm still tired. So I bet
That
you
makes
are.
two of us.
I was gonna say I bet you are too, Will. I mean, it was
May or may not have taken a nap right before going on the show.
there was a moment where I was like, you know what? I left Naperville after daytime, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna not look at my phone for about 2 hours, 3 hours or so, and just just be in the moment. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting all these texts on comp day, and I'm like, holy crap! Like, there's just so much going on. And then, of course, right when I get home, I get the news about the competition I was at, which we'll talk about, and I was like, what? Nothing's real anymore. So, a lot of really big competitions, a lot of great results for a lot of choirs. Even if they didn't even win the competition, I feel like there were so many good things going on across the country.
Yeah, you got news about the competition that you were at. I got that news. I immediately shared it with the choreographer of three of the top four groups or four of the top five groups of that competition. And he looked at me and he's like, "You're kidding." And I'm like, "No, here's the text." And he's like, And then he took out his own phone, presumably to verify the information because he still thought I was kidding, And I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of day it is. And meanwhile, we're sitting, I was sitting, he was standing in the Chesterton auditorium, where anything that could have come out of that auditorium would have been like,
yeah,
okay, that's how it shook. So.
Yeah. It was like, yes, you were at probably one of the comps of the year, and then it was like just the chances that you were next to him for that was unbelievable. It was just an unbelievable text back by you being like, let me know, because I'll tell him right now. And I'm like, I don't even know if it's right, because I'm getting it from another person. And it wasn't right at first. I had another group at like second, and no, they weren't at second. But yeah, and honestly, that's the fun part of it during like comp days and stuff. Like, if you're not at a comp, like having your boots on the ground, try to relay that information to you, it's a struggle end of the day trying to get information out of some people. But I appreciate everyone that tries to keep me in the loop of what's going on, because it's been crazy so far.
Absolutely. And oh gosh, I just forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that's what I was going to say. This is going to be our early episode plug for The Teardown, which is our live reaction show on Saturday nights. Our hosts this past weekend were Chris and Dylan. They did a phenomenal job. If you are watching this on YouTube, this is available on YouTube. The Teardown is. So go to youtube.com/Homeroom Show Choir and look for The Teardown. If you're listening to this on Spotify, then head over to our YouTube channel. And regardless of whether you are consuming this on YouTube or Spotify, please make sure to give the show a follow or a subscription. Make sure to like the show. If you're on Spotify, give the show a rating. Just our obligatory plug felt that was necessary because our main host, me, has been lacking on doing that pretty much this entire season. So
I could be doing it too, Will. So don't be too hard on yourself.
I figure it's the midpoint of the season. I should probably throw one in at the beginning of an episode. So. And also, I don't think we have any aspirations of making it in and out in an hour tonight. So just if you're watching live, this is going to be a bit of a longer show. We did a Chesterton preview last week. We are not going to do a recap. Ironically, Chesterton was one of the more chalk results of the week, at least in terms of generally the top three placements. And we'll talk about some specific things that happened, but we will make this a bit of a longer episode. Just know that there will not be a dedicated Chesterton recap. I just didn't work out with our schedules and things like that. So, Ethan, anything else you want to clear away in this opening segment, or should we dive into it?
I think we're ready to dive into it. So, I mean, first off, we're going to touch on some of the, more overarching storylines from each competition. And then we'll dive into some of the major ones, some of our comp of the week pieces. So, Will, whenever you're ready, we can get the ball going.
This is a return of our lightning fast chaos round that debuted last week, but with an added twist. We decided that 1 minute per competition was too long for a lightning round. Is that really a lightning round? We asked ourselves. The answer we told ourselves was no. So we are doing 30 seconds per competition. We have, I believe, 21 competitions. We're going to do 30 seconds apiece. We're not going to cover everything about these competitions. We are just going to cover specific chaotic storylines that we saw over the course of the weekend. And that segment is going to start off right now. The Brea Olinda California Classic is actually not the competition that Chaparral won at. Our producer put the wrong graphic up. However, Chaparral did win at the Bonita Vista San Diego Sings event. Chaparral Platinum Effects Tier 2 group won over Pacifica Encore, who was a new Tier 2 group, and turned them away in advanced mixed. John Burroughs was the group at Brea Olinda. They debuted a traditional show choir show, the California Big Three, very well known for having story shows. John Burroughs coming out this year may or may not be related to their decision to go to Wheaton, but they're saying, you know what, we have a traditional show, so look for that over the course of the season here.
Yeah, so heading to Cedar Rapids, Washington, the Mo Show, underrated comp name, the Mo Show. Cedar Rapids Kennedy gets the win. They break through. They had a fifth and maybe a fourth at some previous competitions. Real quick fact check. A fifth and a third.
No, they've been on the podium multiple times this year.
So breakthrough win here, especially for a Cedar Rapids program. You know, it's always nice to get those wins. Quick shout out to Cedar Rapids Kennedy Projet. Huge placement for them here. And then, of course, there's a slew of really good choirs with Southeast Polk, Marion, and Iowa City West in the fourth spot. So great competition. Congratulations to Happiness.
At the Clover Hill Mid-Atlantic Show Choir Spectacular, the kickoff to the Virginia season, Matoaka High Impact came in and cleaned out everybody else, including Manchester and Midlothian. Our Virginia writer Cole McConnell very astutely pointed out in his preview last week that Matoaka had not lost their division in something like 15 years. Cool. At Clover Hill, that trend continued. They remain undefeated. Going to a midweek Oklahoma contest from last week, the Duncan Show Choir Festival on Wednesday. Tier 4, Alva Gold Rush took home the best choreography caption. They've been choreographed by Damon Brown for 35 years. However, in the end, it was Tier 1 Edmond Memorial Act 2 that took home the win in the first of Oklahoma's few midweek contests for the year.
When eyes were all over in Indiana looking at Gretna, Gretna East took care of business, and at Elkhorn South, the Crystal Cup. Best vocals, best visuals, an outstanding ballad. Huge win for them. It's kind of what we expect from the Gretna programs at this point, winning the region. However, it's never easy. Lincoln Southwest in the 2 spot under a new director. Third place was Papilla and La Vista Titanium with best band. Just great results. Congratulations, Equinox.
All right, let's head over to the Fort Atkinson Show Choir Showcase. The finals results of this one pretty chalk, however, a pretty significant development. Davenport North debuted a men's group, which they have called Da North Boys. Da Boys, as another show choir podcast is fond of saying these days. Always great to see a new men's group join the show choir fold, especially from Iowa. Another Iowa-related storyline, Des Moines Christian hit the win column for the first time in 2026. Again, our producer put the wrong graphic up. The Harlan Cyclone Sensation had their first event, Des Moines Christian and Sioux Center 2-3A choirs battling it out for the win. Des Moines Christian got their get back. They had previously lost to Sioux Center once or twice this season, but Light Ink hits the win column for the first time this season.
Probably the hottest choir. They're arguably one of the hottest choirs in the country right now in Harrisonville. Grand Island Northwest with their third win, went pretty much cleaning house almost. An amazing competition, amazing win. Beat groups such as Blue Valley, who always put on amazing shows. This is a bounce back placement for them after the past couple competitions. Hannibal was a really good placement. It was best ballad in the third. And look at Rush, Raymore Peculiar. Really good placement by them in the 4th spot, beating really good choirs in Pleasant Hill and Hickman. And then it goes back to me. We're going to go Homestead. Yes.
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 Yes. You get it. You get it. You know. I was making sure we're awake. So, at Homestead, where everything is, yes, Lafayette Jefferson, they just capitalized on their past outing where they got best vocals against FC Seniors, who we'll talk about in a little bit. amazing vocals out of FC. However, Lafayette Jefferson took a caption away from them, being that, and they won it here. Best vocals, best show design, best treble soloist. Fishers with a good best choreography award. I felt like this competition could have gone any way with the top three, especially with ETC rounding it out. But I also want to give a shout out to Ross Legacy. Good win by them with the best choreography. North Royalton, who's been outstanding this year, was best vocals, best band.
All right, we will move to the Keokuk Power City Classic. Ottumwa Sudden Impact, a group that doesn't really run with the large school scene despite being a 4A school, took the win alongside only one of the captions, and the third place group took the other caption there. But Sudden Impact, they have known to steal a win from time to time, and they stole another one in their season debut, a late one for Iowa at Keokuk. Moving to Nebraska, we have a competition, Lincoln Northwest's third annual Capital City Classic. Omaha South, the Ambassadors, took a split caption decision over Sioux City East, the headliners, turning back what was one of Iowa's hottest groups last year. This is Omaha South's second career grand championship after winning at Omaha North in 2024.
In Ohio, where everything is crazy all the time, just it is nuts over there. Finley, bounce back win, first win since 2024, I believe. Best vocals, best choreography, best show concept. Also with best costumes and best bass soloist. Huge win over the past few year long standing Solo Music in Motion, who has been on a tear recently. Finley gets the better of them at Medina, and then Euclid with a good podium placement. They've also have continued to climb as a program. And then Naperville, the competition I was at, wild results. Mount Zion, second win in a row for them. Gotta feel good was best vocals, best choreography. Dwight D. Eisenhower Express, first time I've seen them in a long time. They are fantastic. I enjoyed their show thoroughly. And then, of course, you have the oddball that throws everything off. Mountain Zion, You've Got Mail with a podium placement. I believe Chris said it on the teardown where this could be the best placement by a male choir in the history. I don't know. We'll have to go back.
Bishop Heel and Momentum took third a couple weeks ago.
Okay, good. I was going to say, recently I felt like someone else did. So, yes, whoever gets second as a male choir, they're going to have the top dog. And then, of course, then just the weird look of Wheaton Warrenville South, the Classics, and fourth, Wheaton Warrenville South, Esprit, rounding it out. And that's especially weird, especially when Wheaton Warrenville South, Esprit beat You've Got Mail in the single clef division. But, hey, finals, you get a second shot, you get to work on things. Anything can happen in show choir, clearly.
Anything can happen is very true. Also at Neosho, the show, the big winner was Troy Buchanan Express. However, the story behind them was Carthage with Soundwave and Sound Suite going 2 and 3 in Missouri. We often see single gender groups going right behind their mixed groups. However, it is still a bit of a shock for the rest of the country. So Sweet Sounds finishing right behind Soundwave at Neosho.
North Polk Comet Sensation. I feel like this is a statement win for Davenport Central Seniors. Best vocals, best visuals. A lot of people, they look at their past competition schedules and they're like, yeah, they go undefeated almost every year, but who do they really go against? Well, boom, they just beat Ankeny Visual Adrenaline, who's one of the best choirs in the country. Huge result for Davenport Central. Valley rounds it out with the podium. Acapella Falls, the Valley Ignition, which little birdie tells me some judges really like Valley Ignition. Congratulations to Davenport Central Seniors Incorporated on their win.
The Papillion La Vista competition welcomed high school groups for the first time this year, and in a weird no finals format for Nebraska. I feel like I can say that's weird because Nebraska always has finals. Bellevue West Connection won the Division II, which was the top division at this competition. Someone's going to have to tell me more about this. However, it is West Connection's first win since the pandemic. They won over St. Thomas Aquinas.
At Pike in Indianapolis, Center Grove, they keep on rolling. Best vocals, best choreography. Ethan Wood wins another best soloist award. Zionsville in the third spot, they end up falling to North Central, which really good placement for a North Central group who's kind of been on the outside for a little bit there. However, very strong choir for a long time. They get the best of Zionsville here. Morrisville ended up getting the 4th spot. In the treble finals, Deb Tones wins with best choreography. Where's best vocals? All the way down to 3 spot. Zionsville Corollaires, best vocals, best band, best crew. 3rd place, North Central Desiccants in the 2nd spot.
Over on the other side of the Indianapolis Metro at the Plainfield Quaker Classic, there was a bit of chaos in the small division as division titan Roncalli Royal Rhapsody dropped the vocal caption to Coming Out of Nowhere. Now here's a guy. New Palestine, Crimson Heat, taking home best vocals, Michael Dean, really building that program up. They are on the rise for the rest of the small mixed season.
We get a battle of Sioux Falls. Which presidents? We have Jefferson and Roosevelt. Jefferson gets the best of another Sioux Falls Roosevelt choir. Sioux Falls in general, for the first time in a long time. Congratulations on a huge win, momentum booster. Of course, they did it at Sioux Falls, Washington. Aberdeen Central got 3rd place. The Eagle Express, that's where best vocals was. Best band went to Sioux Falls Roosevelt in the 2nd. Best choreography went to the grand champion, Sioux Falls Jefferson. Sioux Falls, O'Gorman followed it up in the 4th spot. So captions are all over the place. No one won clear. Like it took a decision, took an effort by everybody here, but just a crazy result down at Sioux Falls, Washington. Best of show, and then we head to Tupelo. Tupelo, it doesn't get any not crazier, I guess. Briarwood Christian Radica. Huge win for them. They beat Grenada Visions, Hamilton Legacy, Midwestern Group Prairie, the Ambassadors, and Biloxi Sound Surge. This is just massive for Briarwood. I don't think a lot of people were giving them, the credit that they deserve heading into this competition. I feel like a lot of people were giving Grenada Visions the win and a Prairie a close second, coming from the Midwest and then being a seasoned choir. Huge shout out to Hamilton Legacy. This, the first competition season, getting a podium spot against Prairie, who is one of the most standardized show choirs in the country. They've been around for a very, very long time. So huge for Hamilton Legacy and George Walker, the director.
And that will conclude our lightning fast chaos round. Our producer made a couple of mistakes. We'll put him on a performance improvement plan for next week. However, I think the segment went pretty smooth. We'll see if it returns. We'll dive out of the lightning round and take some time to talk about some of the week's biggest contests, some of the notable absences that you may have noticed across the lightning round. Chesterton recap, so much going on here. Ethan, where do you want to start with this?
So I feel like since I was unable to be in attendance, I will let you splurge. I'll let you talk. And then here and there, I'll throw in a few things that I saw throughout the competition. But because you're the one who was truly there, boots on the ground, I want you to take it away.
So I just had a very, very eventful day at Chesterton. It started with seeing the Sullivan Singers trailers on the interstate headed up to Naperville. I passed them. Yeah, I passed them near Paxton, Illinois, which rest in peace, PBL Unlimited and Unlimited Attitude. But I passed the Sullivan trailers, and then I get into Indiana, and I got off the interstate, and there are 3 buses turning left in front of me, and all of them say Aero Stage Lines. And I'm like, hold on, I know that name from somewhere. And I thought to myself, that's the bus company that made a documentary about Wheaton, Warrenville South and Omaha West Side Strip out there. And then I'm like, those have got to be the Gretna buses. And so I text my sources, and they're like, yep, those are the Gretna buses. And so I pulled in right behind Gretna. It was a great day. Saw their director, Caitlin Wallace, almost immediately. And that just really set the tone for the day. Bless the parents who signed up to take tickets at Chesterton. That is the longest line I've ever stood in for tickets at a show choir competition. I rolled up with 5 minutes to spare before Northrop Allure. Thought I would be able to see them. Soon became evident that I would not be able to see them. Then I was planning to watch whoever was in the field house because I was closer. And then it became evident that I would not be able to catch that performance either. So I stood in line for a long time, and I know those parents were probably blasted out of their mind just with the lines that were happening throughout the day. So bless all the parents that volunteered. I did not catch Northrop Allure, but did make it in the auditorium for Cosby Rhapsody. And My. This was the first time I had ever seen a Virginia group in person, and they absolutely knocked my socks off. I made a specific note of this ballad is incredible. And I think I've just been watching too much show choir this year because I got to the end of the show and they break out Abracadabra by Lady Gaga, and I'm like, and like I can't fault them. It's just that I've seen Abracadabra like 6 times this year. So I'm like, go to the biggest competition of the year and the biggest songs of the year pop up. No surprise, right?
Yeah.
But it was just a blast to see them. And that sets such a high bar for not just the morning session, but for the entire day as well. I believe next up in the day was, oh gosh, let me see if I remember the performance schedule correctly. I believe it was Brandon after that.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and Brandon Bella's much improved show from last year. I really dug their theme. Westfield Illumination. Ethan, this is a group that I'll talk about a little bit later, but this is a group that you and I watched last year, and we're like, oh man, we think they have a really good shot to make finals. And then we wind up getting the sheets afterwards, and they're like way down there. And then this year, this is a show where I'm like, oh yeah, it's good, but I don't think it'll be good enough to make finals. And then more on that later. But just going all throughout the morning shows, we also had Carroll, FC, and Carmel. And Carroll, by golly, they put on a production as well in the morning, and then FC and Carmel. And believe it or not, I think I actually had FC ahead by hair in the morning, which is not what the judges had, but it is what I had, I believe. And there were just 2 great, phenomenal shows for both High Voltage and for the Carmel Accents. And then rolling into the mixed division, missed Oswego and missed Northrop because I was busy getting a director interview. However, the first show of the afternoon that I saw was Gretna Evolution, and boy, just buckle up. That was a show in and of itself. And I'll talk about more about the finals shows when we get to the finals round. Of the groups I saw in the afternoon that did not make finals, Cosby, yes, again, just can tell that you compete in concert choir because your ballad was just incredible. And everyone, I think myself included, on paper coming into this looked and it's like, oh, Cosby kind of got cleaned out by Manchester in the visual category last year, and they're going up against multiple Dwight Jordan groups and multiple Stephen Todd groups and this and that. And oh boy, are they really going to stick out on the visual side of things? And the answer to that was no. The answer to that was Cosby visually looked just like any other group that was there. And so they did not make finals. I had them very close. I don't know what the gap was. Obviously, they were not the first group out. However, I don't think points-wise they were that terribly far out. Unless I was just way out in left field with my opinion of the show. And also, I do want to say, I talked about Cosby's Girls, and I'm talking about Cosby's Mixed. I've specifically been told not to feel sad for Cosby, so I do not feel sad for Cosby for you guys. But I do feel sad for me because this is my first time ever seeing Virginia show choir. And Virginia, very rarely do they have finals. Clover Hill does. And some years Cosby does. I mean, it's a relatively new competition. Don't know where they're going to go with it in the future. But in a competition where they had finals for both the women's and the mixed, I got to see neither show a second time. So I do feel a little bit sad in that regard. However, I have been explicitly told not to feel sad for the Cosby program of their own accord. And so I am not sad for the Cosby program because I have been told not to. So Cosby, just an absolute treat seeing Virginia show choir. Bonzi Valley, this is one of those groups that, in my opinion, sneakily makes this competition so good because you know that they are probably not going to be super close in the conversation for finals, but you know that they're going to put on a good show. And you know that if someone has to drop due to weather or someone's group comes down with a really big sickness at the last moment, you know that Bonzi is going to be there to pick up the slack. They made finals at a competitive Milton event earlier in the year. They had what I would probably consider to be one of the medleys of the year. They had a 12-song Grammys medley. Their ballad absolutely cooked. Their guys wore suit coats the entire time, which you don't often see. And I'm like, this is not going to be a finals show, but it probably is a finals show at a good amount of competitions. So I really did appreciate Bonzi being there as well. I think I'll see him at Wheaton later this season, if I'm not mistaken. And then missed Oswego and Northrop. Carroll, 6th place. Man, I am really split on this one. On the one hand, Was it a lot going on? Was it certainly a crowd pleaser? And talking to parents from small division, did it absolutely catch a lot of people off guard that it did not make finals? Yes. On the flip side, it was really hard to bear a show that was 53 minutes from setup and run and takedown.
That's kind of tough.
And also, was I terribly surprised that the show did not make finals? I was not. Was there a lot going on in the show? Yes. But as any performer, creative that works with groups that do things will tell you, once you add the things in, once you add tightrope stunts in Carol's case, once you add tons of sets and production effects, once you add even fog machines, it becomes harder to do the basic things right. If you're busy walking a tightrope, it becomes harder to sing with good breath support. If there's a fog machine rolling over you, you really have to dance well to make those visual concepts known. And so I did feel like the technique, when we talk about artistry, technique, and effect, I did feel like the technique was slipping for Carol in some of those areas just because there was so much going on. And also, man, I do like my competitions to run on time. And sometimes groups set up and you can tell that a screen broke, which everyone, please leave your screens at home for the rest of all time. You do not need the screens, I promise you. I will tell that to every single group. However, with Carol's show, it didn't really feel like anything went wrong, and it still took 19 minutes to set up. And I just appreciate it when groups respect the time they are given and fulfill kind of the good faith duty that they have to keep the competition running on time. So I just think Carol kind of bit off a little more than they could chew in terms of being a choir that could fit within a relatively decent time frame, because even like if you go to HOA or the big California competitions, they'll give you 35 minutes. But that show, even on a immaculate setup and takedown, the runtime itself was 23 minutes, which means you have then 12 minutes to set up and take down, and that was way more than that. So I may or may not have gotten a little bit more sleep because Carol did not make finals. However, it was still an absolute production. I will still see the show again at Show Choir Nationals. This arguably is a little bit of a harder kind of mid-tier competition than Show Choir Nationals, in as much as that, you knew that Carmel and FC, maybe Gretna were going to be right there, but kind of that 4 to 7, 4 to 8 was an absolute hornet's nest. So sometimes you just come out on the wrong end of those things. Moving into the finals groups for the women's finals, in third place was Westfield Illumination. And I have to keep reminding myself that this is a third-year program. This is, granted, is this a very large school with a lot of students to draw from? Yes, but this is a third-year program. Even the seniors in this group have not done a full 4 years of show choir. And to be the third out of 7 women's groups at an incredibly stacked competition like this, all signs point to moving forward for Westfield. They have more plans for the future. I am absolutely sure of that. And I think that, I watched them at state finals last year, and I'm like, they'll probably be a solid like 5th place show. And then I look and they were like 8th or 9th. And I'm like, that is stupid, for lack of a better word. It just isn't happening. And I'm so happy that they go to here. And I'm like, it's a nice show, but I don't know if it'll make finals. And then the other shoe drops for Westfield, and they make finals at a competition where I didn't know if they would after Chesterton last year and Isma State, where I'm like, they'll be in line for something pretty good. And then that didn't happen. So super, super happy to see Westfield in finals. FC High Voltage. This was a show that grew a lot on me in finals from prelims. I don't know if I just didn't read it very well in prelims or what it was, but I did really appreciate their show. I thought that they made it very, very close with accents. I haven't seen the final sheet, so I don't know how the voting actually went down. And then the Carmel accents, man, I think that's the first 8-minute show choir song I have ever timed, because after watching prelims, I'm like, I need to time that song. My initial guess was 6 minutes based off vibes. It wound up being 8 minutes and 15 seconds. I don't know if I was capable of doing that in my prime. So I just have to give a phenomenal shout out to all the Carmel Accents members who went through an 8 minute and 15 second song that apparently was 10 minutes long and then got cut.
What number was it? What number?
It was the Zodiac sign medley.
So like first, second.
It was the second.
Wow. A long second number, man.
Yeah.
there's normal second numbers that people can't get through.
And then you got to stand still and sing that ballad.
Yeah.
You know, after coming off of 8 minutes, 15 seconds of straight singing and dancing. So, and there was a costume change at the beginning of it. So I guess maybe when the full group's out there, it's more like 6.5. But just still, I get out of breath just watching that number. And then moving on to the mixed finalists, Brandon Brio in 5th. I think Brio is one of the groups where my opinion on them flipped the biggest from the course of last year to this year, because I timed them in prelims because I knew that, you know, Southern groups sometimes get a rap for taking a ton of time. Brandon loaded in, ran their show, and loaded out in 30 minutes flat in prelims because I was worried, like, you know, Brandon brings screens. You know, sometimes things go wrong. I don't want this competition to get further back than it already is. And Brandon kept that competition exactly on time. And so I do have to give a big shout out to everyone at Brandon for making sure that they did their part so that this competition could run on time. And also their show theme, man, it is a little shocking to me that I haven't seen more America 250th shows. It just kind of seems like a show's theme that is begging to be taken by show designers.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people are afraid of getting political. I don't know if people are afraid of just kind of doing all the traditional patriotic songs and, you know, getting docked points for not having various styles or whatever it was. But I thought the show design was, frankly, a breath of fresh air. Also, 2026, I feel like that would be the year for marathon shows or running shows. Still haven't seen any of those on stage. So if any late season groups want something for their pop show in spring, I will sell you that design for free. Just send me a choir t-shirt so I can rep you. But Brandon, also vocally so much tighter than last year. So much tighter than last year. Your performers did not sound out of gas until much, much later in the set until last year. Or compared to last year. So Brandon, I would say one of my most improved groups. Also big fans of granola bars, as I found out after their finals performance. Wheaton North. This is a group that you hear like, oh, they won with best band and not vocals or choreo. And you're like, that's got to be an interesting show. And then you watch the show and you're like, that's an interesting show, but it is dang sure well-rounded between the vocals and the visuals. And it was definitely very close between them and Brandon for the 4 and the 5. It was split votes for the 4 and the 5. I personally just kind of had it flip of the coin either way. Campbell's soup dresses, Campbell's soup cans, drumming on Campbell's soup cans, and costumes that consistently you're like, I don't see that every day, but it just works.
Yes.
And so Wheaton North, they showed up and they did what I would say is the most traditional brand of show choir in the finals. I think they beat Gretna for that title by a little bit. And they did everything well. Were they necessarily elite in any category? At that competition, no, because you had to be elite to be first or second or, maybe third. But they still did everything very, very well. And so I was very impressed by Wheaton North. Moving up to third place, Gretna Revolution had sky high expectations for this show, perhaps a little too unrealistic. I'm like, it'd be great if Gretna could win this competition. That did not happen, obviously, but still emerged as one of my favorite shows of the year. Bicycle shows, don't really see those that often. This one I feel like fell really in the shade of gray between a story show and a traditional show because it followed the adventure of one person. There was a main character. There was an Andy Londonderry. But besides that, there were not really specific supporting characters. There weren't a ton of just super long solos. There weren't like weird mashups or, like 75-second character numbers just to prove a point in the story. It flowed like a traditional show. Also including 50 Nifty and Yako's World in a serious show choir show is a feat that I never thought I would see accomplished and never even thought about thinking about seeing accomplished. Yako's World, one of the definitive meme songs of my late teenage years. And to see that incorporated in a show choir show and kind of sort of as a novelty number, but I can tell that there was probably a child of the 90s somewhere in that show design process, just because that was when Animaniacs was going on and that song originally aired. But was the choreography as clean as FC or Carmel? I would say it was probably 5% less. And were there some, vocal things where you're like, ooh, I missed that little phrase there diction-wise? Sure, there were. And so to me in finals, I think it was a pretty clear 3. However, for a group whose expectations coming into the week was just to make finals, being a very clear 3, and I would argue closer to the 2 than the 4, is absolutely smashing their expectations. If this is the best that Nebraska Show Choir has to offer this year, I am absolutely okay with that. We'll talk more about some of the other best show choir that Nebraska has to offer a little bit later in this episode. Second place group, FC Singers. I think if you looked up Story Show in the Imaginary Show Choir Encyclopedia, this is what would come up. And it's kind of what FC's identity is. Barefoot Show, so I think first one of the year for me. Characters, long solos, props, all of that jazz. Definitely a show like High Voltage that grew on me the second time I saw it. I still don't know if I'm a gigantic fan of just straight up story shows. However, I'm trying to appreciate them for the art that they are and set aside my personal preferences. Their ballad, like I've said for several other groups at this competition, absolutely outstanding. Their visuals, yes, definitely. They are still a pioneer in the visual world of things. It just so happened that they were second at this competition. Also, I feel incredibly stupid for saying that FC would be anywhere outside of the top 2 at this competition. I feel like it was a classic overreaction where one thing happened and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my gosh, something big happened, which means that something big is going to happen again. And that's actually not the case at all. Rumors of FC's demise were greatly exaggerated. I'd like to make a public apology to anyone from FC who's listening. I'm sorry I doubted you. I watch your shows. I'm not doubting you for the rest of the season, okay? Carmel. Man, I know I just said that Wheaton North put out the best or the most traditional form of show choir. I think I might have to put Carmel in that conversation as well. And perhaps even more so. The whole show kind of felt like a period drama a little bit, or not a period drama, but a period show. This is perhaps the best Route 66 show that has ever been done in the history of show choir. And Carmel has allegations. People say, oh, Carmel designs a show for the score sheet and then just fills out the score sheet categories. So what? Okay, personally, I'm not incredibly inclined to believe that's true. But even if it is, the old saying is, if you can't beat them, join them. But what happens when you can beat them? What happens when you're just so talented and you work so hard that you just can beat people in the score sheet categories by doing the things the score sheet requires? Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. I appreciated that Carmel came in, they put up their Route 66 backdrop, and then they sang and they danced, and a lot of their choreo, I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, that's some Dwight stuff for you. That's some prime Dwight stuff. And their vocals, I'm like, yeah, no one else has had that vocal depth consistently throughout the entire day today. And after prelims, I think Carmel was a pretty clear one, at least in my book. And I think based off of the points, they had a comfortable enough margin. And I say comfortable enough as in at this competition, all the margins were just so shrunk. And it was absolutely not a surprise to see them win in finals after their performance as well. Also, I just want to clear up the judging panel allegations. Dwight Jordan is not married to Ellie Jordan. Just want to put that out there for posterity. Absolutely wild things going on. Also, if you read the program to see who's judging what, believe it or not, they actually in the program had labels to say this person was judging vocals and this person was judging visuals and this person was judging critique. And so if you're going to go on a roll about conflicts of interest judging wise, you should probably look and see where it says critique auditorium. I don't know how well that shows. It's probably backward if I'm seeing it correctly. Maybe it's not.
It looks right.
It looks right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, the moral of the story is, look, if you're going to go complain online, you should probably get your facts right before doing it. And also, like, I've never met Kristen Morris personally. I've been in the same room as her before, but so have 3,500 people at this competition, right? Yeah. The judging panel was one of the most top-notch I've seen, and the names that she had judging small, John Burles, I believe Brian McAllister was in the Fieldhouse judging small, the best small mix judging panel you will find in this country this year.
Back to back.
So I don't know if anybody asked for it, but I am going to give a defense of the Chesterton judging panel and say that while I only watched large division, none of the results were real head scratchers as to I have no clue how that group made finals. I'm not going to lie. Did I have Wheaton North in my provisional finals field? No, I didn't. Okay. But I'm okay with that because first of all, I'm not a trained professional. And second of all, did I hate their show? No, I really liked their show. I was glad to see it a second time. So, I'm just going to put a defense of the Chesterton judging panel out there. Also, Taco Bell at 1:30 after a comp, it just hits different. Taco Bell, by and far, the winner of our best comp food poll on Instagram on Sunday. So shout out the Westville, Indiana Taco Bell. That is my Chesterton recap.
All right, I'm just gonna throw in a few things because I was able to peter in and out throughout the whole day. I didn't get to see any of the Cosby groups, which man, I wish I was able to watch them on a live stream. I'm gonna go back and watch. Carol, I cannot wait to see you at Mount Zion. It's gonna be a pleasure. I can't wait. Them versus Center Grove and a handful of other just so like amazing choirs. In that auditorium is going to be a joy. I can't wait to see your show. And I mean, that show is going to evolve tenfold. So I can't wait to see it at Mount Zion. Brandon Brio, I didn't get to see the show. However, boots on the ground. This, it's a good thing about being on something like this. Holy crap, they sang a million times better. I didn't hear it just from Will. I heard it from probably 5 other people that were like, Brandon brought it. And I am so happy they brought it. If there was a group that needed to bring it and make finals at this competition, I believe it was Brandon. Especially this being their third year in a row. I mean, they were just due to make finals at this competition, and I'm very joyous. I love the show theme you brought up. I need to watch the show. I feel like that is just something that was kind of like you said, it was kind of handed out there, and I mean, shoot, I was a victim of a show that was kind of handed out there. 2020 being 2020 vision. Like like literally vision. Like we take those. Take it when you can. People love it. Wheaton North Flight. Thank you so much for representing the state of Illinois. And truly doing what you guys do consistently at a high level. It doesn't matter what kind of show you guys put on. It's always a fantastic watch, and people want to see it again. You guys truly entertain audiences. I can't wait to see your show. Also at Mount Zion, that's going to be a blast. Hearing those vocals live, it was kind of funny. I tuned into the live stream randomly at one point, and then it was Wheaton North. I forgot where in the set, and I was like, "Huh, this is a very interesting look." Like, and there's nothing at the bottom telling me what choir it was, so I was I'm just guessing. I'm like, surely this isn't like, I don't know. This isn't a Gretna. And I was like, you know what? That kind of gives like an Illinois vibe. And boom, yes, it was. It was Wheaton North. So they had a great show. I love the back end of their show. It looks so much fun. I can't wait to see it again. Gretna Revolution. Saying it again, another time where I just randomly tune into the live stream, which praises to Chesterton for doing a live stream and it being free. I don't care the quality. I don't care if it cuts in and out at random times. I'm truly just thankful that there was something that I could tune in every now and then while I was at a different competition and be like, oh my goodness, those costumes are amazing. If I couldn't listen to it, or man, they move so well. Their choreography, Gretna Revolution, I was like, it doesn't stop. The arms don't stop. And it was clean every single time. And I was like, it's just crazy. You see the comparisons of groups with different choreography styles, whether it be arms and how sharp they are, or it's like you get in the ground, dirty footwork. That's what these competitions are amazing. And Will, you can attest to this. I mean, you saw a handful of different choreography, even though some groups were the same. You saw a bunch of different tastes and a bunch of different styles, and that's what makes show choir special. It really does. And I remember I made a meme, and it was like, I think it was Downport North and Glenwood, and they both went up to Fort Atkinson, and they both had Ben Eklund and Matt Watson. And like, those are two choirs that probably had no idea they had the same choreography team for the most part, right? It's just such a cool community, and to see how people move and the stylistic of shows, it's just so impressive. So, and Gretna blew my socks off. Their presentation was spectacular. Moving on, second place, Franklin Central FC Seniors. When I say I watched this group in 2018, and I knew nothing besides that they swept almost everywhere they went that year. They go to HOA Orlando, and I'm like, no, they weren't lying. This group is one of the vocal groups in the country, like the vocal groups. And going into this competition, I initially had them in third, I switched them, or in top 3, I switched them out for Carroll, who didn't make finals. This is kind of how this competition goes. But like boots on the ground said, yes, they are still that group who scenes, and like you think of FC seniors, you think vocals. However, the way they move is almost as impressive now. And I'm like, there's no way, because the group I saw in 2018, 2019 was unbelievable vocal wise, and they're like, no, they're like, that's how Indiana groups get you now. You think they're going to kill you in one category, but no, it's an overall show every single time. And I just want to give FC all the credit in the world. They are truly, truly stepping up this season. And I mean, way to show it at a competition like this. And then Carmel, my beautiful, sweet Carmel. I love Carmel so much. And I'm not going to say a lot because I didn't get to see the show. I will be watching it. However, they just do it again and again and again and again and again. And it's truly impressive. Going back to the sentiment of what you just said about how Carmel picks a show to fill up a score sheet. Okay. I want anyone to go back and watch show choir from, I don't know, 2015 back. It was literally like one simple backdrop. Oh, especially in the 2000s. Go watch any show choir from the 2000s. It might be one simple backdrop, 4x5, and it's choirs that can sing and dance. And I heard from a goat's mouth one time say, how much does a backdrop affect your show? Like, how much does it help to a score sheet? Guess what? Zero. Because guess what? If you're an elite choir that can sing and that can dance and has a band that's on time and kicks, like, that's all you need. And I feel like the White Jordan groups have been doing that for years. And it goes with Wheaton, it goes with Carmel, it goes with Wabanzi for the longest time. It doesn't stop. And I mean, for example, like Swing Stations last year, they basically have the same choir this year. Last year, they had a very intricate set design backdrop, right? Well, you can attest to that. Very intricate backdrop set design, chandelier and all. This year, it's got a few 2x4s and lights. And so far, guess what? It's scoring better. If you're just a choir that can sing and dance at an elite level, you don't need all the fancy stuff. And I really appreciate groups like Carmel and Wheaton and Mount Zion and just groups who say, or Glenwood, that they're just like, I just want to go out there, sing and dance, have a good time. And if it fills up a score sheet, good. But at least we know we're doing show choir the right way. And you just have to, you can't complain about that. You can't, because that's what show choir is at the purest form. This was an amazing competition. So sad I couldn't see it. However, I just know everyone there had a blast, and thank you to anyone who provided information to me throughout the day as I was scrambling in my own right. But it truly, truly, if you are in the Midwest and you need to see you can only see one competition a year. Go out to Chesterton, go up to Northern Indiana. Is it Chicagoland? I know it's Central Time Zone, but is that in the loop of Chicagoland?
Someone yesterday told me that the locals call it the region.
I was gonna say I was gonna claim them as like the Bears.
You can do that if you want. I think a lot of folks outside would probably still call it Chicagoland, but locally, I guess it is somewhat referred to as the region.
Okay, and you know what? They could say the region if they keep doing what they're doing. Next year's lineup, who knows? Who knows? But I'm already looking forward to it. I'm already looking.
Will Brandon return for a 4th straight year?
That, and can one of these maybe California choirs go for a quick trip out? That's
too early.
Too early. But it's like we're getting all these big groups, and it's like just eyes kind of look out to the west and down south to some of these choirs that notoriously are quote unquote powerhouses, right? So, and honestly, who doesn't want to look at Carmel? Who doesn't want to look at FC seniors? Gretna, like what's that meme where it's like this may have been our only shot, but at least you had a shot, right? So, so amazing competition. We have so many more competitions to talk about and preview. However, Chesterton deserved all these minutes and all this time to talk about in its own right.
We are going to zip down to the reason why we probably didn't see more Southern groups at Chesterton, and that is the Homewood South Central Classic. The results of this one are as follows. The grand champion with best vocals and best choreography, Clinton Attaché. The second place group with best overall effect, Oak Mountain Singers. The third place group, Auburn Varsity Singers. The fourth place group, Northwest Rankin the Ambassadors. The fifth place group, Spain Park Rhapsody. In blue, Ethan, Oak Mountain took overall effect off of Clinton Attaché, who was the last group to take the overall effect caption off of Clinton Attaché. Bonus points for the year and competition.
Well, best overall effect is a Southern award.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, it's a Southern award, and
you are correct.
Last time Clinton was lost, so I don't think it happened there. So I feel like it's gotta. I know Wheaton Warrenville South was super, super close one year. They won it. I don't know. I'm gonna go Wheaton Warrenville South. They went down to Pedal, and they 2020 or 2019. I'm gonna go 2020.
We'll just file this under Ethan has competed against everyone because that's just where I'm going to file it. But that is correct.
No,
Wheaton Warrenville South at Pedal in 2020 was the last time that Clinton lost the overall effect caption. That question was unabashedly stolen from Coach O's trivia time this week. So go watch the warm-up room on Spotify, or I don't know if they have a YouTube. I think they do. So go watch that and shout out Coach O, Jason Odom, for running that trivia time. And so let's just start with the conversation there. Is Clinton Attaché washed?
No.
That was a rage bait. For legal reasons, that was rage bait.
It's like the same thing with Lamar losing. I mean, they lost a major caption, which we'll get to it. But it's the same category where it's like, yes, you can take all these other awards, but unless you take the big one, does it really matter? Like, I think Clinton could have won without best vocals and best choreography, and we would have just been like, well, a choir was this close, right? I feel like that's what the storyline would be. And guess what? That doesn't change anything at Clinton. It's like, well, we just got to be better now. And so the next competition they're going that, and if you're competing against them, it's like, oh, crap. Clinton's not happy right now. But, yeah, I mean, they still got the win. If you're Oak Mountain, this is huge for them. I mean, last year's Oak Mountain show was a whole production. It was top from bottom. I felt like I was watching it. I felt like I was watching Elton John's like life story. It almost felt like, and it just didn't stop. It just kept going and going and going. It almost felt like an Elton John movie, like the documentary or biopic. That's what it felt like. So I don't know what their show is this year. However, clearly they're doing it right. getting a second place like this against Attaché. I have to give a shout out to Auburn. You know, a lot of people were questioning Auburn after last time out, and they quickly said, no. That's not how this year's going to go. We are still a very good choir. Top three placement, you know, it's just really good for them to be like, okay, guys, like we need to build off of this. Like last time out was not what we wanted, but we can build off of this. So huge shout out to them. And of course, Northwest Rankin and Spain Park, that has to be a tight 4 or 5. And then of course, probably 6 was Jackson Encore on the outside looking in. So I mean, that itself, it's a competition in its own.
I am absolutely salivating to see some of these same groups at Auburn in 2 weeks. Just, kind of smacking my fingers over here and being like, ooh, if this is a group that took a caption off of Clinton and also Homewood and also Spark, we got a little, we might have to get Tony Ullman on the show next week. Who knows? I have not run that by him, so please do not be disappointed if that does not happen. But yeah, plenty going down at Homewood. We'll flip to the Loveland Showfest in Ohio. The results of this one: grand champion Marysville Swingers Unlimited, best choreography; first runner-up Daniel Hand Vibe, best vocals; second runner-up Fairfield Corliers; third runner-up Olentangy Keynotes, best band; fourth runner-up Beaver Creek Friends; women's grand champion Marysville Swingers Select full sweep; second place in women's Olentangy She Notes. Is it time to have the conversation about Marysville being the best show choir in Ohio right now?
I feel like you have to lean that way. I feel like last year I was going to sit more on the side of Marysville rather than Solon, just because Solon, I, I didn't know if the Solon pop-up was more real or was it just more like the hot streak. You never really know. So I've always kind of sat on that Marysville side of Ohio. But however, like Solon dropping last week to Findlay, now Findlay is no slouch at any means. However, it just kind of it's just another nick down the board. So I think Marysville has it. And they didn't win with best vocals. They won with best choreography. So another Dwight Jordan group doing what they do. It's truly, truly just a testament to how they put on shows and how well they just do everything together. So this is huge for them. And in our preview show, I said it's always been like this from my point of view as a Midwesterner, to see a group from the East Coast come down to Central America or go down to these national events and place well. And I feel like it's kind of always been that way. And I believe going into this, I gave Daniel Hand a third place. I feel like, I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch. It was second or third. However, I did not think they were going to get the best vocal caption. I did not think they did that. They blew me out of the water. Threw my prediction in the trash. They truly, truly put on an amazing show. And the fact that they were sniffing, like this close, sniffing at Marysville is huge. Because, those groups out there, unless you're in the scene, you don't truly know how good they are until they come down to an HOA Orlando or they come to a Loveland. It's very rare every now and then. I'm glad that they kind of made this their trip for the season. I think they're kind of staying up in the New England scene for the rest of the year, which heartbroken. However, definitely no slouch placement. Clearly, if they maybe got third or fourth, you'd be like, well, that's just kind of how the New England scene is this year. And yeah, they beat up on Waltham, twice this year, and South Windsor, and those are good choirs. But it's like clearly it's just a different. There's levels to it, as we say. Nick Jonas, right? Levels to it. So I have to give them all the props in the world. Congratulations, Daniel Hand. You guys have to be so happy about this placement and getting best vocals off a choir who's been running the Ohio scene and running the Midwest for a while now. Good placement by Fairfield Corliers. A lot of people kind of had Owen Tangy making a run. I remember my prediction now. I had Owen Tangy making a run for second place off their amazing win last week at Marion Harding. Fairfield Corliers, still kind of chugging along, beating good choirs for that top third placement. And then, of course, Beaver Creek, who is an amazing choir, rounding out the amazing finals field. This is just an amazing competition, and I love how it's just in the middle of the season like this. And it sadly kind of got covered up by the Chesterton and maybe Urbandale. But it's like you look back on it and you're like, wow, those are all really good Ohio show choirs. And then you just throw in the Giant from New England. It doesn't get better than that. So great competition at Loveland. Last time I was at the Loveland, what's it called? Loveland Show Fest. It was amazing competition. And I hope everyone had a grand old time, especially Daniel Hand traveling all that way.
So circling back to something you just said, Levels by Nick Jonas experiencing a resurgence on the show choir stage this season. That song being done by El Paso Gridley, Kenton, and Clinton, Iowa, after no records of it being done since 2022. So fortuitous Levels by Nick Jonas drop. I don't have too much else to add. I will say the Olentangy she notes, I don't know, I think they might have caught a couple strays here recently from folks, and they are proving that they did not deserve those strays. So shout out the Olentangy she notes. The Waconia Star Power competition in Minnesota, grand champion Bloomington Kennedy Rhythm and Gold with best choreography. First runner-up Millard North Infinity. Second runner-up Iowa City 4th Avenue Jazz Company with vocals. Third runner-up Millard North Illumination. Fourth runner-up Sparta Upstage Adrenaline. And fifth runner-up Bloomington Jefferson Connection.
The madness doesn't stop, Will.
It don't. It do be like that, Mr. Stansel.
It just doesn't stop. I mean, an amazing competition. Holy judging panel, amazing judging panel. I just looked over to the left on the screen. It's just amazing to look at. Truly one of the ones. I don't know what to think about Miller North, man. I don't know what to think. I feel like every single week I have a new opinion on Miller North Affinity, and then it changes drastically. Looking at their choir sheet right now, 3 second place finishes, and then a 5th place at Gretna, who was Linmar, Gretna, Elkhorn North, Elkhorn South, and then then they beat Papillion La Vista, Freak Spirit. It I just don't know what to think. I can never place them anymore. I can never count them out for a grand champion win, and I can never count them out for maybe sliding down in finals to a 5th. Like, and honestly, those are the most dangerous choirs to go up against. You have no idea what they're gonna do on a great day. So I just wanted to give them a little love on their 2nd place. Bloomington Kennedy Rhythm and Gold got the win with best visuals. Indigo Gabriel, crazy run. That graphic they posted, I was like, wait, I need to fact check this. And it was sweep of the whole competition. That's unbelievable. that is unbelievable. You know, freshmen usually don't get solos out the gate, no matter who they are. So they usually don't even get, 3 chances, let alone.
Uh-oh. I have no idea what went on there. Okay, well, we're going to run the show just solo. Oh, hold on.
I'm back. So let alone 4, right? So
he doesn't miss a beat. He doesn't miss a beat.
Let alone 4. So I mean, this is just a testament to the people who put them in positions like this and just put on amazing shows. And I got to catch a glimpse of it. I don't know if it was through social media, TikTok, something. However, wow, they had an amazing closer, and it really sells. Them not getting the best the best vocal caption, it just shows how tight the top 3 was. It has to be so tight. And I feel like it was Chris who said something on our meme post and was like, "Are we not going to talk about best vocals in 3rd place?" And I was like, "No, because it happened 16 times this week, and it's just another day in the office." So it's just another thing. And someone said a comment earlier in here where it was like, "Are we going to talk about the caption splits?" Caption splits are happen every single week. I just feel like they're happening more at a higher rate, and I feel like it's because these choirs are getting better. I feel like we are coming out of the resurgence of the pandemic. Finally, like I feel like we're almost to the point where it's like, yeah, there's still some things that have happened because of the pandemic, or whether it be numbers or a group climbing their way back, whatnot. But I feel like we are gotten to the point where all these choirs are resurging again, and there's just so much good show choir happening right now, where it's judges they're not going to all have the same thoughts on a show or a program or a choir. So you're going to see split captions. It's just what it is. And Iowa City is a really good singing group. Really good. This is their 3rd best vocals on the season. They have 2 wins. And this has to feel good for them. I mean, of course, you want to be higher than whatever placement you get. That's not 1, right? I mean, that's everybody. However, getting best vocals in a 3rd place after getting 4th last week, you have to feel like we were right there. We were right there, and if we could go on this, we're almost back to a third GC on the season. And then we got a few memes about this one. A few memes were came in about Miller North and Illumination and how excited they were to just make finals, let alone beat groups like Sparta, Upstage Adrenaline, and a choir that's also kind of had an up and down year, who's had but they mostly on the good side, Bloomington Jefferson. Like, just shows the testament of how strong that Miller North program is, and how dangerous they can be at any point. And it's not just with the mixed choir; it's also with their other choir. So, huge for them. And I mean that prep division is no slouch. Sparta, Rise of Adrenaline, Miller North Intensity, their 3rd choir, Bloomington Jefferson Jive, and Bemidji La Voce Ballo. Did I say that right, Will? La Voce Ballo?
Sure, we're gonna call it right. We're over an hour into the show already.
Yeah. So yes, great performance by Bloomington Kennedy. Yeah, split captions happen, people, and that's what's going to happen more and more and more and more and more. These choirs are all getting better, making it harder on judges.
Yeah, there were a lot of different groups that could have made finals here, and it wound up being Millard North. And we'll talk more about Millard North in a little bit. You say you don't know what to think of them yet. You're going to have to probably predict them later on in the show. So stay tuned, all of you who are watching. Stay tuned for hopefully what we will get to in not too long, where Ethan tries to predict Millard North again. Yep. The Urbandale Show Choir Invitational. Some of you more seasoned folk may know this as the Urbandale McDonald's Show Choir Jamboree. If you remember the 1990s, the results of this one are as follows: Linmar 10th Street Edition, Grand Champion, Best Choreography; Johnston Innovation, 2nd place, Best Vocals; Westside ATSC, 3rd place, Best Band; Johnston Synergy, 4th place; Linmar Instep, 5th place; Westside Simply Irresistible, 6th place.
Unbelievable, right?
I don't know. I'd say this is a world in which it's believable.
Oh, no, the result's believable. But I feel like just...
I thought you were saying the results were unbelievable. And I'm like, huh?
All right, I guess I should put context behind it. I was just going to say the amount of talent in a field like this. Where you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, only 3 large mixed choirs. I mean, even though you could probably count Johnson Synergy almost as a large mixed choir. But it's like you have 3 main varsity choirs in the finals group. You're like, oh, that's a competition where, it's whatever. I'd rather go to a comp that's filled with large mixed choirs and spend my money elsewhere. If you decide to do that, you made a mistake, because Urbandale put on an amazing show choir invitational. I just kept reading stuff because I love the read. Will I'm a reader. Not as much as you, but I'm a reader.
I've been slacking a little bit on the reading. I need to get on that.
People were just amazed with Westside. People were amazed by their performance. And I feel like, they go to a multitude of other competitions, they get a grand championship. And I feel like you go to competitions like these to, because as you say, iron sharpens iron. And for Westside and Johnson and Linmar to be going up against each other is just it's huge for everyone. And now let's look at, the quote unquote elephant in the room, right? Best vocals, Johnson Innovation. That's not really the elephant. They do that all the time. That's not really the elephant. However, it's leaving Linmar with just best visuals and a win. That's kind of the elephant in the room. And again, I'm not pushing the panic button on Linmar, much like when we talked about Clinton, right? However, best vocals being, the massive category on a score sheet is a little bit concerning. However, you lost it to who? Johnson. Johnson, who's one of the best in the country. Johnson, who sings almost like no one else, especially in Iowa. It truly, that scene is just electric. It's just electric, and it could go any which way all the time. However, Linmar has been holding strong, whether it be with sweeping, one caption, no caption. They've been doing it for a very long time now, and the train keeps rolling for Linmar. Johnson, I love this result. It only makes me think you guys have a I don't know if your odds really got that much better for HOA Orlando, because I feel like you're up there with, a lot of people are thinking 1 or 2, regardless. However, I feel like this helps them a great bunch going to competitions like those. Taking the most major caption off probably the best group in the country for years. So huge for Johnson, huge for Westside, just holding their own, winning the best band category. Again, also no slouch caption here, and holy performers and solos and instrumentalists. Like they have a whole crew of people who can put on a show. Clearly, Urbandale, they keep putting on amazing competitions, and Linmar only has best visuals, but hey, GC to go along with it as well.
Linmar remains undefeated after the pandemic. They withstand certainly one of their harder tests, and that's what I want to give the credit here at this competition for. One, to Linmar for consistently putting themselves on the line, saying, you know what, if we are going to be undefeated, we are going to earn it. We are going to go to Show Choir Nationals. We are going to go to Chesterton. We are going to go to the most competitive events in the state of Iowa, at least in terms of top-end talent, and also to all of the other groups that they compete against for making some of these things legitimate questions as to will Linmar remain undefeated. And the tough part about Show Choir is that it is a zero-sum game. Ben, I don't think it's an indictment on Linmar. I think it's more so a sign of all of these other programs that are at levels where they are challenging the best programs in the country. So just so much goodness to go around there. Certainly one of the Urbandale Show Choir Invitationals that will be talked about for a while. We'll flip to the week ahead now, and we'll start off with the Traveler Award. We have 2 Traveler Awards this week, and we were discarding several trips of 5+ hours just to get here. So we're really doing well on the travel game this year. So shout out all the parents who are fundraising money for all of these big trips. The runner-up in this week's Traveler Award, we will cover in the Comps of the Week preview. However, the gold medal for the Traveler Award is not in a Comp of the Week, so we will talk about it right now. That is the Avon Accents and Attraction traveling to the Pedal Show Choir Invitational. That is a distance of 725 miles and a time spend of 10 hours and 50 minutes each way. So Ethan, real quick, Pedal will go up against Homewood, Spain Park, Jackson Academy, Enterprise, Oak Grove, Biloxi, South Jones, Summerall, PRC, and 6 different small mixed choirs. Expectations for Avon at Pedal?
Cool. It's always tough when, a polar bear goes to Arlington, Texas, right? It's always tough. And however, they've dominated, their region for a while and a long time. My mind goes to, I believe they did an Olympic show, or no, or
last year.
Oh, that was last year. Okay, I was right.
Yep. That was Avon last year.
Yeah, sometimes my Roncalli, they kind of mess me up with the small mix because sometimes I don't see many pictures or videos. So, their Olympic show last year was fantastic by Avon. It was truly an amazing show. I feel like they got a good shot against. I mean, Homewood. That's gonna be something. And of course, it feels like this season you got to keep up with the Joneses. So, and I know if you're kind of going from the Midwest down south, you might not know who the Joneses are, but they're kind of on a run right now. So it's gonna be a very tough field. If they can snag at least a podium here, I feel like that's a really good win for them. I especially when you're traveling down south into the land unknown. So for a choir like that.
Well, best of luck to Avon as they head down to Pedal. We will go back to Indianapolis and also back to our runner-up Traveler Award. This is the Center Grove Best of the Midwest. The large mixed division here includes Fisher's Electrum, Franklin Central FC Singers, North Central Counterpoints, and Oak Mountain Singers. The large women's division here includes Fisher's Sound, Franklin Central High Voltage, North Central Descants, and Oak Mountain, the Muses. Oak Mountain traveling a distance of 488 miles and a time of 7 hours and 15 minutes each way to get to Indianapolis. Ethan, let's start off with this large mixed division. Franklin Central coming off second at Chesterton. North Central coming off second at Pike, beating Zionsville. Oak Mountain coming off of taking a caption from Clinton. Fisher's coming off a second place at Homestead, taking best choreography from Lafayette Jefferson. How do you see this playing out?
It's just the group of second placers. I don't know.
Someone's going to get their get back.
Yeah, someone's going to get their first.
But only one of them. And one of them is going to add another second. And then the other ones are.
Don't say that, Will. There could be 2 winners.
We're not doing ties. We've had no first place ties this year. I'm crossing my fingers.
So good. We've been doing
no first place ties this year. If you are a competition director whose contest has not happened yet, put like 7 tie breaks in. There can be no ties for the win. It makes our life so much harder. Please do it for us, for nobody else.
We should call the hotline, but we should have put an over under because it always happens. It always happens around this time of the year. It feels like.
Gosh.
Back. I feel like January is always pretty clean cut for the most part. Of course, some craziness here and there. However, you get in the back end of February. That's when some wild stuff happens. This is going to be a great competition. someone like you just said is going to get their first one of the year. And, Oak Mountain just took best overall effect off of Clinton at a Shea. North Central just got second place, beat Zionsville Royalaires. Fishers just got best choreography against two other really good choirs. And then Franklin Central, of course, was just at like the Mecca, and they just got second place. And you got to lean toward, I don't know. You don't got to do anything you don't want to do. However, I feel like the Oak Mountain taking best overall effect from Clinton Attaché doesn't equal up completely, in my mind, to a Franklin Central getting second place at Chesterton. And that's how I'm looking at it going in. And of course, I could be completely wrong. Maybe maybe Clinton is the crap this year, and they're vintage, vintage Clinton, and they just took best overall effect off them. But I just feel like going up against the slew of choirs that Franklin Central did, and all the raving reviews I've heard about Franklin Central, I have to give them the nod here. Again, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I'm going to give them the nod here, and I'm going to make it a sweep. I think it'll be a sweep by Franklin Central. I feel like they were like, okay, we showed the country what we can do. Now it's time to prove it. I feel, and especially when you're in Indianapolis, you got to defend your home turf, and that's what these other two choirs are doing, North Central and Fishers as well. So it's going to be a tough battle. If I had to put a number on it, North Central could bounce up to that second spot. Them beating a Zionsville is kind of scaring me a little bit when I'm making my prediction. However, early in the year you really don't know. I'm gonna go Franklin Central sweep. I'm gonna go Oak Mountain in the 2. I'm 3. I'll go North Central, and I'm gonna have Fishers at the 4. And again, I think Fishers can bounce up and down this lineup as well. I mean, this is a choir that you can never truly count out in the Indianapolis scene, and I'm not going to start counting them out. So,
all right. Well, Oak Mountain's obviously probably the hardest one to put down here, but I hate to say it, but it's kind of go or go home time for Oak Mountain. They just were second to Clinton. They go to this competition. They will be at Auburn on February 28th, where they will face Homewood, Petal, and Grenada. And all three of those programs in their best times have the ability to be grand champion programs at that competition besides for Oak Mountain. And so if they do want to rise to the top step of the podium, you can't just write this competition off and say, oh, we're going to be second to FC or we're going to be second to North Central or anything like that. Like, you have to put your best foot forward. This one, I just saw Franklin Central. I just said that I'm not going to doubt them for the rest of the season. So I almost feel like I'm obligated to put them down for first place. I will, you know what? Give me North Central on the upswing. Give me North Central on the upswing for second. Give me Oak Mountain in third and Fishers in fourth. I honestly don't even want to do captions here. I don't know. Things are going to happen. Oh, give me FC with vocals and visuals. And we're going to talk about the large women's division as well. This one also featuring Fishers, Franklin Central, Oak Mountain, and North Central. This one, much interesting as well. That's not even a real phrase, much interesting. However, there are plenty of storylines to follow along with here. Fishers Sound, obviously one of the best groups in the Indianapolis women's scene. Franklin Central High Voltage just coming off a second place. Oak Mountain Muses just coming off a division win. North Central Descants just beat Zionsville. So much going on in that arena as well. That one, I would almost argue, is going to be more evenly matched, and the spread is going to be thinner than it would be in the mixed division. So that division, so much going on. The small mixed division, definitely a couple of things to hit on as well. Small mix, just an absolute hornet's nest. This division includes Batesville, Franklin Central Encores, Greenfield Central, New Palestine, Roncalli, Shelbyville, and Winfield. The three groups that I'm looking at here are Roncalli, New Palestine, and Winfield. Roncalli and New Pal just had a caption split at Plainfield. Winfield, multiple overall GCs for their program. Their girls group has been beating their mixed group this year. However, I think their mixed group absolutely has the potential to do some damage in this competition as well. We'll move on to Jackson Prep. We'll see if we can get Ethan back on here in a little bit. TBD on that. Hopefully it'll happen sometime soon. The extra large division in this one features Brandon Brio, Clinton Attaché, Madison Central Reveille, and Northwest Rankin, the Ambassadors. The large division, Northeast Jones, Gold Horizons. The middle mixed division, Rosa Scott Radiance. Small division, CCA, Morton, Oxford, and Pisgah. And in single gender, you have both of the Northwest groups, plus Brandon and Tupelo. South's just been rolling. We had Oak Mountain, we had Homewood, now we have Prep. We're going to have Oak Mountain, we're going to have Biloxi later in the season. And oh boy, there are 6 very, very good groups here, and there are 5 final spots. I think we can pencil Clinton in. I think at this point, Brandon is probably a good pencil in as well. Tupelo coming off of a sweep of Grenada, a very good pencil in as well. Notice I'm saying pencil and not pen. That leaves Madison Central, Northwest Rankin, and Northeast Jones. And I really don't have a clue. Northwest and MC, I believe, have seen each other so far this season. I might be wrong on that. However, you do have Tupelo coming in from the women's division as well. And you also have Brandon coming off of, 5th place, but 5th place at a Midwest competition. Like Chesterton, not just any Midwest competition, but a Chesterton competition, so much. Clinton probably will win this competition. They have not lost in the South for many, many years. And so I don't have any regrets saying that. However, I think we need to start looking at Brandon versus Tupelo as something that perhaps could provide some juice. And then this tango between NWR, Madison Central, and Northeast Jones. There's going to be a very, very good show that misses out on finals. Would hate to be that show that misses out. Would love to be in the audience for prelims and also for finals. Predictions, I guess I will say give me Madison Central at the 4 and Northeast Jones at the 5. Just gut. Nothing for or against anybody, but Madison Central really impressed me with their placement at Oak Mountain. So we're going to rock and roll with that. The Omaha South Classic. This competition has to be one of the wildest turnarounds in about 2 years' time, from barely having anybody go to that competition to having like prep groups be 3rd place, to having one of the most stacked lineups of the weekend. The lineup for this one in the mixed division: Grand Island Ultimate Image, Lincoln East Express, Millard North Infinity, Millard West, West in the Groove, Papillion, La Vista Free Spirit, Papillion, La Vista South Titanium, Westside ATSC. In the women's division, Millard North Illumination, Millard West Uptown, Papio South Titan Radiance, and Titan Revolution, and Westside Simply Irresistible. And then an absolutely loaded in the prep division as well. So many groups in this one. Nebraska, the default program size is 3 groups. And so when you get a competition like this, it's just bang, 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 all the divisions down. So we have groups from Grand Island, Millard North, Millard West, Papio South, and Westside, along with the Buena Vista L Street Singers, a very young program from one of the newer Omaha schools as well. I will be at this competition. It will be my first Nebraska competition since the UNL Midwest Cup in 2023. It has been so terribly long. I was going to go to Gretna and Lincoln Lynx in 2024. A snowstorm said no to that, so I'm so excited to get out. This will be my first time seeing Millard West live. This will be my first time seeing Papio South live. This will not be my first time seeing Westside, Millard North, or Lincoln East live. First time seeing Grand Island live. I am so very excited to see all of these programs. I am so very excited to eat runzas all weekend long. Eat my pollock runza on Friday. They now have a fish on the runza menu. I just learned about that today. I am very excited about that. But in terms of the competition itself, Westside coming off of one of the most competitive events of the year at Urbandale, Millard West defeating Gretna East in a split caption decision at Lincoln East earlier this season. Can Papio South make noise? Millard North coming off of a big placement. Lincoln East coming off of a big win at Lincoln Southwest. There are just so many storylines here. And then who will take that 6th spot? We do have Grand Island and Papio Free Spirit out of the varsity division. However, plenty of very capable groups in the lower divisions as well. Millard North Illumination coming off of a 4th, Westside Simply Irresistible coming off of a 6th, Millard West Uptown, certainly no strangers to finals this season as well. Even something like a Millard West Swing Cats, I don't think you can count out as well. So this competition, definitely one of the highlights of the year for Nebraska. I feel like we say that every week on this show, but it really does ring true that, especially in this case, that you can have a competition in Omaha and you can also grab groups from Lincoln and Grand Island to go there. I think that's a great sign for Omaha South. I am so excited to see Omaha South, the Ambassadors, as well in exhibition. Just won a competition at Lincoln Northwest. Been a fan of them for several years now, really impressed with what they're doing. So hopefully I will have a good report back next week. Besides, I8 runs us all weekend long. Moving. Hold on. Predictions. I got to stop myself. I keep rolling through these and not doing predictions. Predictions for this one. Millard West, West Side, Papio South, Lincoln East, Millard North, Grand Island. I'm going to get burned on that somehow. Feel free to clip me, do whatever you want with that. I'll have a better idea after prelims, but of course, all that will be gone by that point in time because no one cares what I think after actually seeing the choirs. We'll move on to the last competition preview for the night. If you're still sticking around, either live or on the recording, an hour and 26 minutes in, thank you so much. This has been a little bit of a grinder of a show, at least for a weekly show. So we really appreciate you sticking around until the end. This one, the Hastings swinging on the river outside of the Twin Cities area in Minnesota. In the mixed division, Bemidji Vocomotive, Bloomington Jefferson, Jefferson Connection, Bloomington Kennedy, Rhythm and Gold, North St. Paul Northern Lights, South St. Paul Southside Sensation, Waconia Power Company, and West Salem Sensations. In the prep division, Aspire Momentum, Bemidji La Voce Bio, Bloomington Jefferson Jive, New Prague Motion, Waconia The Current, and West Salem Vivace. This one, a couple of very intriguing matchups in Minnesota. Waconia versus Bloomington Kennedy is the main one. This one, perhaps a little bit of a preview of something to come later in the season. Super happy to see Waconia competing after their host invitational. That has not happened in a few years. So super excited to see what Power Company gets done. This one features a bit of a reciprocal. Power Company won at Bloomington Kennedy's event and Rhythm and Gold won at Waconia's event. So now they will head to a neutral site venue at Hastings. And presumably those will be the top two groups, both Kevin Chase groups, both known for their very high energy shows. Will Indigo Gabriel win yet another soloist award? The answer to that question, probably yes. However, I'm not counting out someone from the field to take the best soloist award as well. Also, a matchup down the card that I'm really looking forward to is Bemidji versus Bloomington Jefferson. Bemidji now in its third season under the direction of Gunnar Ace with a New Year's themed show. I feel like that's not the only New Year's themed show that we've seen on the competition stage this season. And then also Bloomington Jefferson, who kept their final streak alive last week. That streak now sits at 13 consecutive competitions. They will be looking for a strong podium placement here before perhaps being in the driver's seat for the win at Totino Grace in a week or two, or excuse me, Bemidji. Circling back to Bemidji, I think they might be in the driver's seat to win at Totino Grace. And I think Bloomington Jefferson may be in the driver's seat to win a competition later this season as well. So plenty of things to look forward to there. And we have Mr. Orville Redenbacher himself from Valparaiso, Indiana. Uh-oh. Are you, hold on, there we go. Oh, your mic is not connected. I cannot unmute you. I still can't hear you. Chat, can you hear Ethan? Let me know if you can hear him or not. This is why we keep the normal shows to an hour, because at the hour and a half mark, stuff like this keeps happening. Oh, man. Man. Oh, hold on. Do we have sound now?
Hold up.
I can hear you.
I just refreshed the page. I'll probably... Oh, no, stay on page. Stay on page. All right. You hear me?
We're chilling.
Okay.
So what do you think about the Hastings Swinging on the River competition?
I have no clue. I was trying to keep up. I was watching the show, or I was trying to jump in on my phone. But yeah, let me get there. My mind is all over the place.
All right. Waconia, Bloomington, Kennedy, Bemidji, Bloomington, Jefferson, North St. Paul, South St. Paul, West Salem.
Oh man.
New Prague and Aspire as well.
I like Waconia.
You do.
I like Waconia. The current.
Okay.
I like the current in this.
Yeah.
I like
We're,
them.
we're talking prep division now.
Yeah. Oh, were we not?
Well, no, I was just asking in general. I was throwing in New Prague and Aspire to
okay.
say, they're programs that don't have a group in the varsity division, but
I was talking about just the prep.
okay, sure. We can talk prep.
Yeah, let's talk prep, bro. Let's talk a little prep.
Yeah, who loves a little tier 2 action?
Let's love a little pro. I like Waconia, the current. They got second place earlier this year. Checking in on some of these other choirs. Some haven't even performed yet.
New Prague always starts late, yeah.
West Salem, oh man, what a repertoire they have on the season so far. What a spread. Second place and a first place was best vocals, and a second place in the prep division as well. They definitely are choreographed by Kyle Brower. I mean, that's gonna be a good group to go up against if you're Waconia.
So guess one of the songs that West Salem Vivace is doing. Taylor the Latte Boy. Sorry, that's an inside joke. I try not to make too many inside jokes, but
you know. I thought you were gonna say so. I mean, yes. I think that bumps them up maybe a little bit. I feel like that
okay.
I'm gonna roll with Waconia, the current. I'm gonna go at West Salem in the 2. And then the rest of it, I feel like is a shoot for third place. So, Bemidji, didn't they just beat Bloomington Jive? Or did they just lose to Bloomington Jive? I don't know.
That's a great question.
It's late. Honestly, give me Bloomington Jive in the third spot, getting a bounce back placement. Those are my top 3 in the prep.
All right. Well, any varsity division predictions?
Yeah, so this varsity mix is kind of interesting. Bloomington Jefferson, who is bouncing up and down leaderboards. Waconia, who it seemed like the only choir that could beat them right now is DePer, and that was weeks ago at this point. So who knows how much better DePer got, and who knows how much better Waconia got. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna lean Waconia here. I'm gonna lean Waconia. Bloomington Kennedy just had an amazing outing, and they're kind of on a run of their own. A first place was best vocals, best choreography, and then they've only lost the best vocal caption so far this season. Oh, sorry, they also have a best visuals. My bad. They've lost in 2 best vocals captions this year. So I feel like that could be a difference with the vocal caption being so heavy in score sheets. And so that's kind of why I'm leaning towards Waconia right now. However, if there's a choir that can improve vocals in an instant and improve show in general, it's Bloomington Kennedy. And I mean, they're coming off a win. So, I mean, a lot of momentum on their side. I feel like Waconia not really, performing in a while. I feel like they've had a lot of time to perfect their show. Hopefully not get complacent. And really, 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 really work for Hastings. So I'm going to go with them at the 1. I'm going to go Bloomington Kennedy at the 2. I am going to go. I am going to go with. I'm going to go Bloomington Jefferson at the 3. I feel like they can get a bounce back placement here. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Bemidji at the 4. I feel like them and North St. Paul are going to have a really good battle. I feel like North St. Paul has a lot to prove here. I feel like they can really, really make some noise as well. And I forgot how many choirs I've already named. So North St. Paul would take that 5th spot. I believe that would be the 5th spot. And then rounding it out, give me the current. Give me Waconia. Give me Waconia. I feel like they can jump up and make some noise into the mixed division as well.
All right. Well, my predictions, I guess I will I'll also go Waconia at the 1. I have not seen Bloomington Kennedy's show in person this year, but I have seen Waconia's show, and I think that it is certainly one that would benefit from a couple weeks of hosting and clinicking and all that jazz. I will take Bemidji at the 3, and then Bloomington Jefferson at the 4, North St. Paul at the 5, and I will take West Salem at the 6. Got to give it to a Wisconsin group. People who know me know that I am sometimes very optimistic about my Wisconsin groups. And so I will take West Salem at the 6.
I like that. I like that a lot. And again, this is one of those competitions where it's like a lot's happened throughout the season, and for them, they're kind of on either in the middle or the back half of their competition season. So a lot of them are almost at full strength, right? So it's kind of like, well, a lot's happened this season, especially with some of these choirs. They've had some up and down competitions. Some, are really, really trying to put a stamp on their season. So huge.
Absolutely. That will wrap up our show for tonight. We are over an hour and a half in. So thank you everyone for sticking with us. We will see everyone right back here next Tuesday on YouTube. And then after the fact on Spotify, we will have so much more show choir to cover. We will probably have to bring on a guest of some kind because there is just too much happening for the two of us to take it down with just us. With that being said, if you are competing this weekend, break a leg. If you are spectating this weekend, have a blast. If you are traveling at all, safe travels. Avoid potential tornadoes in the Midwest midweek, any potential weather that may be happening anywhere else. For Ethan, William, have a great evening and have a wonderful show choir Saturday.
Peace.